Have you ever looked at an animal and wondered, there's no way nature made that? Well, sometimes it didn't. For thousands of years, humans have been playing with genetics not in laboratories, but through selective breeding. Bigger muscles, longer ears, less hair, more feathers, stranger faces. If an animal had even the tiniest unusual trait, someone, somewhere, decided, let's make more of that. The result? Some of the weirdest creatures you've ever seen. Some are adorable, some are fascinating, and a few honestly look like they escaped from another planet. So let's count down the 12 strangest animal breeds humans have ever created. Number 12, Seabright chicken. Let's start with a chicken that clearly wanted to be a fashion model. This is the Seabright chicken, one of the smallest and most decorative chicken breeds in the world. Unlike ordinary chickens bred for eggs or meat, this one was created almost entirely for its appearance. Every feather is outlined with a neat black border, making it look as if someone carefully drew every single one with a marker. Pretty impressive until you realize beauty comes with a price. Seabrights aren't great egg layers, they're poor flyers, and breeding them is surprisingly difficult because males often have low fertility. Imagine spending years designing the perfect sports car only to discover it barely starts. Thankfully, the next animal doesn't just look unusual, it looks like someone forgot to brush it for the last 5 years. Number 11, Poolie Dog. If you've ever seen a mop suddenly start running across a field, congratulations, you've probably met a poolie. At first glance, it doesn't even look like a dog. Its entire body is covered in long, rope-like cords that naturally form as it grows. The breed was originally developed in Hungary to herd sheep, and, believe it or not, that bizarre coat actually protected it from freezing winters and wolf bite. So unlike many animals on this list, the poolie's weird appearance originally had a purpose. The problem? That incredible hairstyle comes with a full-time maintenance job. Those cords trap dirt, collect moisture, and can take an entire day to dry after a bath. Skip grooming for too long, and the coat can become a paradise for bacteria and parasites. Still, underneath all that walking spaghetti is one of the smartest herding dogs ever bred. But if you thought too much hair was strange, wait until you meet an animal that was practically buried alive in its own fur. Number 10, Angora Rabbit. Most rabbits have short, practical fur. Then humans looked at one and thought, what if? More. A lot more. Meet the Angora Rabbit, the world's fluffiest rabbit and basically a living cotton ball. This breed was selectively bred for one reason: unbelievably long, soft wool that's used to make luxury clothing. In fact, a single Angora can produce enough wool every year to knit multiple sweaters. Sounds amazing, until you remember it's still a rabbit. Unlike sheep, rabbits constantly groom themselves by licking their fur. That means Angoras regularly swallow huge amounts of hair, which can build up inside their digestive system. Since rabbits can't vomit, those hairballs can become life-threatening if not carefully managed. And that's not all. Their thick coats require constant brushing. Skip a few grooming sessions, and the fur can mat into a tangled mess, trapping dirt, moisture, and even restricting movement. So yes, they may look like adorable walking clouds, but owning one is less like having a pet rabbit and more like maintaining an extremely fluffy carpet. Now, if you think too much fur is weird, our next animal solved that problem by getting rid of almost all of it. Number 9, Chinese Crested Dog. Most dogs are famous for their beautiful coat. The Chinese Crested became famous by getting rid of one. Despite its name, the breed's exact origin is still debated. But one thing is certain: it looks unlike almost any other dog on Earth. Most Chinese Cresteds have smooth, nearly hairless skin with fluffy hair growing only on their head, tail, and paws. It's a hairstyle that somehow says rock star and grandpa at the same time. The hairless look isn't just unusual, it's caused by a genetic mutation. And that mutation comes with a few unwanted extras. Their exposed skin burns easily in the sun, dries out quickly, and is prone to acne, rashes, and cut. They also tend to lose teeth much earlier than most dogs because the same gene affects dental development. Ironically, a dog with almost no fur often needs more skincare than its owner. And if you think that's the strangest face you'll see today, just wait until you meet a fish that literally carries water balloons on its head. Number 8, Bubble Eye Goldfish. Goldfish are supposed to be fast, graceful swimmers. Then, humans decided they would look better with giant water balloons attached to their face. Meet the Bubble Eye Goldfish. This breed was selectively bred to develop 2 large fluid-filled sacs beneath its eyes. They're completely transparent, incredibly fragile, and honestly make the fish look permanently shocked. Unfortunately, those bubbles aren't just for decoration. They severely limit the fish's vision, making it difficult to find food or avoid avoid obstacles. Even worse, if one of the sacs gets punctured by a sharp decoration or another fish, it can lead to dangerous infections. As if that wasn't enough, bubble eyes don't even have a dorsal fin, making them clumsy swimmers that struggle to compete with ordinary goldfish. Many owners have to keep them in specially designed aquariums just to keep them safe. So yes, humans successfully bred a fish that needs protection from being a fish. But if you thought that looked unnatural, the next animal doesn't even have the one thing every chicken is famous for: its feathers. Number 7. Featherless chicken. When people imagine the perfect chicken, they usually think of better eggs or more meat. Scientists had a different idea. What if we just removed the feathers? The result was the featherless chicken, exactly what it sounds like. Instead of being covered in feathers, this bird is born with almost completely bare skin. The idea was surprisingly practical. Without feathers, chickens raised for meat would stay cooler in hot climates and require less processing after slaughter. Efficient? Maybe. Comfortable? Not even close. Feathers do much more than help birds fly. They protect the skin from sunlight, insect, rain, and sudden temperature changes. Without them, these chickens are far more vulnerable to scratches, infections, sunburn, and cold weather. Even something as simple as another chicken pecking them becomes much more dangerous. In other words, humans solved one problem by creating several new ones. And if that sounds bizarre, our next animal proves you don't need genetic mutations to look like something from another planet. Sometimes, all it takes is an unforgettable face. Number 6. Brussels Griffon. Some dogs have faces that melt your heart. The Brussels Griffon has a face that makes you wonder if it's silently judging every decision you've ever made. Originally bred in Belgium to hunt rats in horse stables, this tiny dog eventually traded dirty barns for luxury living rooms. Over time, breeders favored flatter faces, larger eyes, and a more human-like expression, creating one of the most recognizable dog breeds in the world. Cute? Absolutely practical? Not really. Like many flat-faced breeds, Brussels Griffons can suffer from breathing problems because their shortened snouts leave less room for normal airways. Their large, prominent eyes are also more vulnerable to scratches and injuries, and some can develop dental issues due to their compact jaws. Despite all that, they're incredibly affectionate, intelligent, and packed with personality. It's almost as if someone shrank a grumpy old man and turned him into a dog. But if you think that face is unusual, the next animal looks like it was designed by someone who had never actually seen a goat before. Number 5. Damascus goat. If aliens ever visited Earth and asked to see our goats, please don't show them this one. Meet the Damascus goat, also known as the chamois goat, one of the strangest looking domestic animals humans have ever bred. As babies, they actually look adorable. But as they grow, their faces transform dramatically, developing a long Roman nose, oversized jaws, and a head shape that looks almost prehistoric. Believe it or not, this wasn't an accident. For centuries, breeders in the Middle East selectively bred these goats because they produced excellent milk, adapted well to harsh climates, and were considered highly valuable. In some competitions, their unusual facial features are even judged as signs of beauty. To most people, they look like something straight out of a horror movie. To breeders, that's a champion. Thankfully, despite their intimidating appearance, Damascus goats are generally healthy and surprisingly gentle animals. But if you think crossing the line between strange and fascinating ends here, our next animal didn't just come from selective breeding. It came from crossing two completely different species. Number 4. Zonkey. At first glance, it looks like someone started drawing a zebra and gave up halfway through. Meet the zonkey, a hybrid created by breeding a zebra with a donkey. The result is an animal with the sturdy body of a donkey and the unmistakable black and white stripes of a zebra, usually covering only its legs, neck, or parts of its body. It looks Photoshopped, but despite its appearance, the zonkey isn't a new species. It's a hybrid, which means it inherits traits from both parents and not always the best ones. Zebras are known for being aggressive and difficult to tame, while donkeys are calm and hardworking. A zonkey can end up with an unpredictable mix of both, making its behavior much harder to manage than either parent. And because its parents have different numbers of chromosomes, most zonkeys are sterile, meaning they can't produce offspring of their own. So humans created an animal that looks incredible, but one that nature never intended to continue. And if crossing two species sounds extreme, our next animal animal proves you don't need to mix species to create something wild. Sometimes, one cat is already enough. Number 3. Savannah cat. Some people looked at an ordinary house cat and decided it wasn't nearly wild enough, so they crossed it with an African serval, a long-legged wild cat famous for hunting birds with 6-foot jump. The result was the Savannah cat, a breed that looks like it escaped from the African savannah, but somehow ended up sleeping on your couch. With huge ears, long legs, spotted fur, and endless energy, it's one of the most exotic-looking pets money can buy. But owning one isn't quite as glamorous as it sounds. Savannah cats are incredibly intelligent, unbelievably active, and can jump over 8 feet straight into the air. Many owners quickly discover that a normal house isn't designed for an animal that treats every bookshelf like a launch pad. Early generation Savannahs can also inherit the wild instincts of their serval ancestors, making them more challenging to train and socialize than typical cats. In other words, you don't own a Savannah cat, you simply live in its house. And if you think that's an impressive display of genetics, our next animal looks like it spends every single day lifting weights at the gym. Number 2. Belgian Blue cattle. Most cows spend their lives eating grass. This one looks like it spends every day at the gym. Meet the Belgian Blue, a breed so unbelievably muscular that many people assume it's been pumped full of steroids. Surprisingly, it hasn't. Its massive physique comes from a naturally occurring genetic mutation that limits a protein called myostatin, the protein responsible for stopping muscles from growing. Breeders noticed the mutation and spent generations selectively breeding these cattle until they created one of the most muscular animals on Earth. For farmers, it was a dream. More muscle means more lean meat and higher profit. For the cows, not so much. Their oversized muscles make natural births extremely difficult, and many calves must be delivered by cesarean section. The extra weight also puts additional stress on their joints and legs, making movement more difficult than it is for ordinary cattle. It's an incredible example of how a single genetic change can completely transform an animal. But if you think that's the most unbelievable creature humans have ever created, wait until you meet the world's largest cat, an animal so enormous that it makes lions look almost ordinary. Number 1. Liger. Imagine a lion. Now imagine a tiger. Now imagine someone looked at both and thought, why not combine them? That's exactly how the Liger came to exist, the largest cat humans have ever created. A Liger is born by breeding a male lion with a female tiger, producing an animal that can grow over 12 feet long and weigh more than 900 pounds. Standing next to one feels less like meeting a cat and more like meeting a small dinosaur. So why are they so enormous? Normally, lions and tigers have different growth regulating genes that balance each other out, but when they're crossed, those genetic stop signals don't always work properly. The result is a cat that just keeps growing. Unfortunately, bigger doesn't mean better. Many Ligers suffer from joint problems, heart disease, arthritis, neurological disorders, organ stress, and shortened lifespans. Their massive bodies place enormous strain on their bones and internal organs, making even simple movement exhausting as they age. Most are also sterile, meaning they can't reproduce naturally. The saddest part? You won't find Ligers roaming the wild. They exist almost entirely because humans wanted to create something bigger, rarer, and more spectacular than nature ever intended. It's an incredible achievement of selective breeding, but also a reminder that just because humans can create something doesn't always mean we should. From fluffy rabbits to hairless chickens, from muscle-bound cows to giant hybrid cats, these animals prove one thing: nature created the blueprint. Humans simply kept editing it. So, which of these animals surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable stories where science, nature, and human curiosity collide.